Hi, Alex Afshar here from Dolanto. Thank you for interest in our work, and hopefully over the next few minutes during the course of this demo, we outline how we are helping a similar organization as yours to be able to make smarter decisions. Over the last 2 decades, we've been working with asset-intensive organizations across the globe with many different sectors. All of these organizations across transport, health, mining, facility management, road, rail, all of them have common problems. They have large body of contract, evolving management system standard, and ever-changing regulatory obligation that they need to be able to respond. Sometimes this obligation is against the asset owners or the your client organization. Sometimes these obligations is associated against the service provider or delivery partners. And always there is back and forth trying to actually understand who is responsible for what and who is responsible to fulfilling all of these obligations. Uh, as part of our capability in Dolanto, we recognize that it needs to be a smarter way to actually recognize this. As a result of it, we developed a patented solution called the Smart Assurance. And this solution have a capability around Q&A, internal audit, contract assurance, standard assurance, and business integrated management system. I'll explain each of them in a little bit more details to give you perspective about capability and what's possible. Each organization, depending on the size, they might have 100, 200, or maybe thousands different documents inside the management system documentations. For the sake of this demo, on the far right hand side, you could see 10 documents, as you can see in here, with format of Word, PowerPoint, and Excel that can be used to inform what the sample size could potentially look like, and also a contract as well. These is equivalent of your management system documentation and your many contracts at the moment have inside your SharePoint. And we could come to the solution and come to the Q&A function and ask question, what are the asset management plan objectives? Yep. And you could ask any question uh, depending on the context, background information that you have from your management system. And the way the solution works is analyzing all of your management system documentation. And based on that, it can actually quickly provide a response back to you. So it actually provides a response based on that question. I actually call out the specific document and a specific page number that how you can actually find the response for this question. In the bottom in here, you could actually provide feedback to this response, and you could actually make some further suggestion or recommendation. The next capability is internal audit, organization dealing with lots of different silo management system standard, and these management system require have a 6 monthly, 12 monthly audit. Audit is time consuming and is resource extensive. So as a result of it, we recognize that there's a capability to build a solution to address those. You could ask all of your audit question in here, and after that you hit generate report, and as an output going to provide you with Excel, which is a response to all of your audit question and analyzing all the information inside your management system documentation. The other capability is a contract assurance. Asset intensive organization across PPP, O&M contract, or maybe EPCM or major outsourcing contract. It could be more than few hundred pages or multiple chapter of the document with lots of appendix. And realistically, no human can actually read all of those documents and understand what actually is saying. On top of that, the language of the contract is technical, a little bit dry. So, and that's another reason that people don't read it. So we build the capability that could actually make the job much easier. We able to extract key obligation inside your contract, and this obligation has been used with a term called these are must activity, these are should activity, or you require to undertake full set of obligation, or some of the obligation is implicit. Um, we select those. We have the capability to identify what the obligation type. Is this obligation related to the payment systems? Is the obligation related to KPI? Is management plans? Is it related to some form of legal compliance that you need to fulfill? Be able to categorize all of these obligations against your contract. You have the capability to understand what are the roles based on your contract. So some of these roles is against asset owner, some of them asset operator or asset steward. Some of these roles are associated with the third parties like a councils or any interface agreement that you maybe have with service provider that you're dealing as part of this contract. And another important factor is understanding the timeline of these obligations. Some of these obligations before you start the contract, during or even after the contract finish, or even during handover. Um, the capability that we have is enable you to analyze this case by case. So what we've done in here is we bring the table of contents from the contract in a structure format in here, and you could quickly look into the specific uh, section inside the contract, or even you could select the entire contract. And when you hit generate report, it provides a report to you in a form of Excel. On top of this, we built an analytic layers for the executive and give them a visibility about what's the exposure at the moment they have against the contract, what are the commercial area that needs to be considered, what are the area that is a high risk. Uh, we when we link the contract with your management system, we have the capability to outline what portion of the contract obligations. For this case, we have 77 obligation in here. From these 77, 23 at the moment fully responded based on the requirement we have in here, and the rest is non-compliant or partial compliant. It's really important to, in a cost-constrained environment, understand how you're going to prioritize activity inside the contract and how you're going to negotiate with your service provider or with your client. We have the capability to identify all of the shall statement, must statement, implicit obligation, so you can actually focus on what actually really matter for the contract and the type of service they need to provide. What are the obligation type? Uh, what are the payment terms? What are the area related to KPI, compliance, reporting, notices? Pretty much all of the things that's important inside the contract. The benefit of this is you can actually be laser focused on what actually adding value for you. We have a capability to identify obligation roles. Uh, these most of the time the contract is associated with multiple different parties. Some of these parties have a set of specific roles, and a lot of them at the moment hidden inside the contract. And because no one actually read the contract properly, these are it never get action properly, or there's too many meetings required to actually really clarify who needs to do what. Be able to identify the roles really clearly, and the most important factor is be able to identify when the contract obligation timeline and role need to be actioned by. Some of these obligations before the contract start, after the contract start, or even when the contract ended. So these timeline is able to help you to actually understand what resource profile I need to have in order to respond to all of these obligations. The other capability at the moment we're building in here is around standard assurance. The benefit of a standard assurance is depending on the size of organization, you're dealing with lots of different standards. So as an example, we use the standard that you can see come from ISO. It could be any other technical standard that you have, or any internal document that you may call it inside the organization standard. The benefit of a solution like this is able to generate a full report or class by class report based on the requirement inside the standard, and able to match it against your management system documentations. Yep. So you could actually clearly say that did you fulfill the requirement against that you need to be customer focused, and where is the evidence of that inside your management system documentation. And the benefit of this is you can actually eliminate all of the manual work, and you can use those time effectively to actually meet with people, understand the context, how at the moment applying this inside the organization. This at the moment has been referred by document, the page number, and it's same in the past. You could provide feedback and commentary. The other capability is around business integrated management system. As I mentioned earlier, in most of organizations, they dealing with the silo challenges. These silo, treat them as a silo management system standard that organization maybe have one, two, three, or maybe 10 of them, depending on the context. And most of the time, none of these management systems interact with each other. The biggest challenge is going to create significant body of work to be able to maintain all of these things. So as example, we pick three standards: 55,001, asset management, 9,001, and 45,001. Realistically, all of these contracts are pretty much similar. And we have the capability to outline why that's the case. So in here, you could see we extract a requirement from the policy in here. Same for 45,001 and 55,001. When we start processing these, we're able to outline what's the similarity and differences between these section of the standards together. Uh, because in a cost constrained environment, you need to be really smart how you're going to allocate all of these documentation. You really need to write three different policy for your organization. The cost associated with sustaining the effort for those policy is significant. Be able to outline what percentage of the overlap or underlap you have against the standard, and what's the real opportunity in here is, can you actually consolidate your management system documentation in one and build an integrated ecosystem to be able to create efficiency of the organization? I trust that these capabilities add value in your journey. Thank you for your patience and watching this video. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks.